Seen Avery before when we do come in this area, and he's off to another great start here. He's made top 8s of the Open Series before, and he's in line to maybe do so again here with the Tarka Red. What's important to find out is who's going to play first here, and it will be Hawkins with the Llanowar Waste as we are underway here in round number 11 for Avery. It's important to have one drop. He looks like he does.
It's always interesting to me just to see how Magic has come around. Traditionally, I would think if you're playing a mono red deck against a green-white aggro deck, it's like, oh, that's historically been a tough matchup. But you know, you and I were looking at the deck list and said that may not even be true here. While Hawkins has creatures that are low to the ground, they aren't particularly threatening in terms of like lifelink or huge numbers on them. So I actually, at least game one, like a Tarka Red here. That's how it's going to be hard. Avery's on a 5-card hand.
Yeah, being on a 5-card hand is pretty difficult to be sure. And, you know, it's not entirely sure what he's up against probably. That said, we'll see what he can put together here as he's going to play a Temple of Abandon, just a 1-of in his deck list. Little scry action here. That top card's going to go to the bottom.
Now, in order to make his green-white company an Abzan company deck, Eric paid a big price in terms of his mana. And you can see it right now, Llanowar Waste and Mana Confluence as the 2 lands. That is very real against something like the red deck.
Absolutely it is. Very, very painful mana base here for Hawkins. Also, no play on turn 1 or turn 2. It's even going to get more painful.
Oh my gosh. Wrong matchup for double Mana Confluence.
Now, Bramaz is a pretty good card against the red deck, as Hawkins is going to go down to 16. But if Williams is a card like Stoke the Flames here, this could get out of hand really fast.
Yeah, this is one of those situations that if Avery was on a 7-card hand, I would just say, I think Hawkins is taking too much damage for this to work. Now, because Avery's on 5, his follow-ups may not be as well constructed as he wants them to be. So, like you said, Bramaz may actually just be enough here. But Hawkins needs some lands that needs to get rid of his own personal mana barbs.
Yeah, he's having some real issues here, to say the least.
He needs to draw Urborg. That just fix everything.
Typically does fix quite a few things for these decks. Williams going to take a look at his hand again on a mulligan of 5. He's got a Swift Spear and a Berserker in play. Looks like Berserker may head into the red zone here. He's just going to play a Dragon Fodder so far. So 2 Goblin tokens. And in situations like this, sometimes it is appropriate just to try to go as wide as you possibly can to set up a large Atarka's command.
Yeah, I believe that's what he is setting up for.
Because in that turn, he could have just attacked with Lightning Berserker, dumped all of his mana Lightning Berserker, kill Bramaz, then there'd be a 1-2 left behind. Then again, you know, there's no guarantee that Bramaz is going to block that particular turn either, as now Bramaz is going to come into the red zone. The token will be blocked by Swift Spear, given that it is a 1-2. And the King of Oresco is going to come through here. Looks like maybe Hawkins has a spell to play, however.
I think he's going to Dramoka's command here.
Okay. It's going to be a painful one, just like everything else that he's doing.
He just has mana barbs in play.
Yeah.
Until he draws an Urborg or something, you have to look at the game from Hawkins' standpoint of you get about 3 spells this game. So 1 was Bramaz, 2 was Dramoka's command. I think he can afford to cast 1 more. This is a huge turn for Hawkins.
This is a really good Dramoka's command.
So Bramaz will fight down Lightning Berserker. The 1/1 cat token will get a counter, so it wins the fight over Swift Spear. It took him 2 life to do it, but taking care of 2 creatures, that was a pretty good one for Hawkins.
Hawkins going to sacrifice the Wooded Foothills.
Yeah, no 4th land for Hawkins on his turn. We go back over to Avery. Looks like Hawkins has a Death Mist Raptor. I know an Anafenza in his hand. Nothing he can really cast. Now, Raptor can be cast face down off that Llanowar Wastes, so the Llanowar Waste doesn't have to hurt him. But Mana Confluence, that does damage whether you're making colored or colorless.
It's bad news either way, especially against a red deck. That said, Eric has a pretty healthy life total right now at 14. I mean, just not a very explosive start, given that Williams, you know, just on a mulligan of 5, playing a pretty honest game at this point. We might see a Hordling Outburst here.
It's not clear that Williams can beat just Bramaz by itself right now.
I think it's going to be hard.
And if that's true, then it doesn't matter that Hawkins' lands are all horrible.
I mean, this entire game, it seems like to me, Avery Williams is just setting up as large of an Atarka's command as he can.
All right, basic.
Yeah.
Got there.
Basic, painless land. What a delight. An attack with everything, including a brand new cat token. Zergo is going to get in front of the only one that it can block, which is the 1/1.
Zergo is kind of cowardly when it comes to blocking.
Yeah, it's a little embarrassing.
What a bully. He only picks fights that he can win.
That's correct. I can kind of respect it, I guess. Why would you want to have a fight that you can't win?
Hawkins is debating using Obzon Charm here, I believe.
Yeah, he does have a copy of Obzon Charm in hand. Could dish out some counters. He's got common bond mode, as you mentioned.
And 2 counters. Yeah, I like that. This is the Bramaz plus combat tricks strategy. I think he's just going to put 2 counters on the guy that Zergo's blocking.
Just keep his board clear. I mean, it's at the expense of life, but you also get to keep your tokens around. They do have vigilance to block, so they're very, very useful.
It's the big, just swing at him with this wall of creatures. This is not how the deck normally plays, but this is very impressive.
This is new-ish. Don't see this very often.
I'm not sure Avery's going to beat it.
I would be surprised if he's able to beat this. Well, and everything he's trying to do is around a Tarkus command, and he just keeps losing creatures. I mean, I'm not saying his blocks are incorrect. I think everyone would make the same blocks.
Yeah, you can't just let Hawkins get free 1/1s.
Yeah.
That doesn't work either. He has a copy of Lightning Strike, it looks like.
Lightning Strike might have to go upstairs. You can see he's a little frustrated. It's certainly a weird game at this point.
Basic Swamp from Hawkins.
Wow, he is doing it.
Yeah. More vigilance. Here comes the wall. The cat wall swings in.
This is a very interesting game because if you're the mono red player, or the Atarka red player, excuse me, this is kind of how you want your opponent to draw every game. Like, which is just like, you've drawn 3 pain lands, you've drawn 2 mana confluences, but Avery's on a mulligan to 5, and he was on the draw, so things did not line up great. It's actually a basic forest, now there's a morph.
I love the play there. Finally, now that he hit 2 non-mana confluence lands, Hawkins is taking great care to not hurt himself anymore.
I think Lightning Strike's going upstairs.
Can't imagine swinging at a creature, but Avery's at 2. I don't... He is not close to 9 more damage.
No. The Tarkus command plan has gotten blown up. All he can do is pass the turn back.
More vigilance cats.
Yeah, Hawkins is just shrugs his shoulders, draws his card, shrugs his shoulders, and says, everybody in. I don't have to tap any more mana this game. And that's going to do it. So Eric Hawkins is going to win game number 1 here over Avery Williams. Onzod Company is up a game here over Atarka Red.
Strange game, but I do like the way it played out for Hawkins. It looked dangerous for a while, and I think as you mentioned, one Stoke the Flames would just blow that out of the water.
That game's basically over. If there's a Stoke on Bramaz, that game's simply over.
Now, what I'm wondering is if Avery has the Lightning Strike earlier, if he had an opportunity to suicide a creature into Bramaz and Lightning Strike down Bramaz, I mean, is that something he's interested in at that point?
Yes, because Bramaz is just a pain to try to get through. I think that's a plan that could have maybe won him the game, or that turn where he thought about attacking with Lightning Berserker and just dumping all of his mana and trading with Bramaz, something I may have an interest in too, depending on the content of his hand.
Yeah, I don't think Hawkins can make that block. He just can't afford to lose Bramaz.
I don't think so either. I think if Avery attacks with Lightning Berserker, Eric's just going to say, okay, no blocks. How much are you going to pump? The answer is probably 1 for Avery.
And I guess if Eric ends the game at 9, so maybe with more aggressive attacks, Avery gets Hawkins down to 5, but 5 isn't 0.
Yeah, I don't think he's able to win that game as we take a look at the sideboards. We will start with Avery and his additional copy of Goblin Rabblemaster, 4 copies of Roast, a Hall of Triumph, a Destructive Revelry, 4 Eidolon of the Great Revel, 2 Goblin Heel Cutters, a Scouring Sands, and a copy of Arc Lightning. I want the additional copy of Rabblemaster, 4 copies of Roast are automatic. Both the copies of Heel Cutter are quite nice in this matchup. And given that he's on the play, I would want actually the copies of Eidolon of the Great Revel as well.
So just because Hawkins' deck is low enough to the ground that you figure it's worth some damage?
Yeah, I mean,
you are open to Dromoka's command by doing that.
You are certainly open to Dromoka's command by boarding an Eidolon, but you're also playing against a Collected Company deck. Collected Company implies that he's playing a lot of spells that are 3 mana or less, and you're on the play where Eidolon is at its best. So if he's on the draw, I probably wouldn't want Eidolon, but given that he's on the play, I would want them.
Now, do you think he knows he's against a Company deck? If I were to play that one, I would assume him against Obzon Megamorph. I guess Bramaz is weird in a Megamorph deck, but I'm not positive I know that Collective Company's in the deck.
I mean, everything I've seen, if I'm Avery, everything that I've seen watching that game leads me to believe that a lot of his spells are 3 or less mana, and I'm on the play. If I'm on the draw, I don't want Eidolon, actually.
Yeah,
I just want Dragon Fodders. But if I'm on the play, I just want Eidolons and try to run you out of the gym and get ready for game 3.
All right, well, on Hawkins' side in the sideboard, I'm going to give you a situation which is pretty interesting. How many times have you seen a Collected Company hit 2 Hornet's Nests against Atarka Red?
0, and I hope that trend continues.
Well, it could happen this game. So if you look at Hawkins' sideboard, he has a pair of Hornet's Nests to Company into. Those seem great. Imagine he's going to board those ones in. Outside of that, he has some cheap removal. He has 2 copies of Ultimate Price that he can use here. That's That's fine against a Tarka Red. A lot of his stuff is expensive, and I don't know how much outside of the Ultimate Price and Hornet Nest he uses. He has a copy of Mastery of the Unseen. I guess in theory that can gain life, but that's very slow against a red deck.
It's really, really slow. I still think you board it in. Like, if you're going to change your deck and you have the spot to bring it in, I would want to bring it in, but it is pretty slow.
Yeah, there are some interesting parts. Hawkins has 2 copies of Hidden Dragon Slayer in its main deck, and actually just a 2/1 lifelink with no other abilities seems reasonable against a Tarka Red.
Keep it in.
Yeah.
Definitely keep it in. I mean, it's not exciting, but it's good enough, so I would definitely keep that card in.
And then still my favorite part, he still has the 2 Siege Rhinos.
Yeah, I would want 2 more of those.
Or 2 fewer. It's possible that you just don't want any.
I want them all. I'm playing Abzan, I want them all.
Right.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying, talk to your friend.
Oh, yeah. No,
talk to Eric. Tell him 2 more Siege Rhinos.
You know.
Very quickly, we will talk about the Star City Games YouTube page, where you can find Versus series. You can find the archives of our premium Versus series and our Magic Online videos, Open Series archives. So if you want to go back and watch this tournament, the Open Series in Portland, our Invitationals, the Players Championship, as well as unboxings and other unique content, youtube.com/Star City Games video for more information. Keep in mind that some of the things that we post on our YouTube page, we don't actually post on our website, like unboxings. So you can find out more information at youtube.com/Star City Games video, today, as we do get ready for our next game here between a Tarka Red and Abzan Company. Eric Hawkins, again, a player from Minnesota that you know, he made the drive here with his friend Matthew Tickle, 20 hours. Tickle not in day 2. He's playing in a side event. Did you get him to play Amulet?
No, he's not playing Amulet of Vigor.
You couldn't get him to do it?
It's on Sultai in Modern.
Okay, fair enough.
Gerard Fabiano version.
Fair enough. Everyone's afraid to play the Amulet Bloom
deck. No, the Amulet Bloom deck is still in my bag. Anyone who asked, I made that offer to. No takers.
No takers. Everyone's a coward.
I did find another guy we talked to who's playing it in Modern.
Okay.
Right now.
All right. We'll keep our eyes out. But for Eric Hawkins, he's making a deep run into day 2. Certainly the drive has been worth it. He's up a game right now against an Atarka Red deck, so let's see if he can keep it going.
Yeah. Actually have some new tech for the Amulet deck, which is sweet too.
New tech, huh?
Yeah. You like get a new card for that deck once every 2 years.
Okay.
Okay. We Dragon Lord Dramoka in the sideboard.
All right, that card's probably pretty good, actually.
You can pack for it, and if you ever play one of those against a Delver deck in Modern, it's hilarious.
Well, they can't counter it or kill it, probably.
Right, well, and if it's in play, then the Primeval Titan you're going to make next turn, that guy can't be countered either.
That's true. Okay.
It's like pretty reasonable.
All right, I can actually get behind that. They have to have a Vapor Snag for it, I guess, or they're just dead immediately.
Right.
Okay.
And then you do it again next turn.
Sure.
It's like, you really don't get one card every 2 years or something, because it's like Dredge. How often does Legacy Dredge get a new card? It's like never.
Basically never.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing, because that deck is lame. Here's a Zergo to start things off. A Forest from Hawkins and a passing of the turn. Here's an attack for 2. Let's see what the follow will be. It'll be a Temple. Here's hoping for Avery. He's got another play. He does not. He's just going to pass the turn back. Hawkins will draw.
Basics. Lots of basics. That's good.
And this is a reason that I am a very anti-Zergo against Abzan decks.
Well, it was good for 2 damage, and I don't know. Now it's going to need some help.
Yeah, I don't really prefer to sleep up shocks against the Abzan deck. Basically, if you're boarding out Wild Slash against a deck, which you are oftentimes doing, then you don't want Zergo in your deck, because you have to kill every creature that they play now. Like with Foundry Denizen, at the very least you get to trade with something, and then with Eidolon, it has a passive effect. But Zergo is going to get outclassed by every single creature that is played. So when you have Swift Spirit, like, you can beat a card like Burmaz in combat or Fleecemane Lion. Same thing can be said with Foundry Denizen, where you play a Dragon Fighter or Whirling Outburst and trade with their guy, which you're absolutely thrilled with because you're getting a better creature off the table. As it stands right now, Zergo is in hand and in play. Avery has another Zergo in hand. So Zergo is on diminishing returns anyway. Like, the second one's never going to do anything now, because why would Eric ever kill the first one?
Yeah, and Avery bottlenecked up a bit there. On turn 2, he had to choose between Lightning Striking the Fleecemane Lion and playing one of his 2 copies of Eidolon of the Great Revel. He did take down the Lion, but then Eric had a turn 3 Burmaz. No land from Avery meant that he had to play Eidolon into this Burmaz, and that's a tricky spot for him.
Let's get that Zergo in front of that kitty cat token.
Maybe. I wonder if he's having flashbacks, though, of last game. What happens when he starts doing that?
Oh, he's got another Zergo, so let that one just bite the dust. I'm surprised no block here.
No, it's just, yeah.
I really am. He does have a Stoke the Flames in hand, so maybe he doesn't want to lose his creature. Ultimate Price is going to take care of Eidolon. It's going to be 2 damage dealt.
3, actually. Hawkins had to use the
Hey,
mana
take one.
confluence.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a Sandstep Citadel and a passing of the turn. Avery will draw. Another copy of Stoke the Flames. There's another copy of Eidolon in hand, so it looks like he's going to deploy that.
And it's reminiscent of last game where it's just Bramaz, Bramaz, Bramaz from Eric.
I mean, Bramaz is a very, very good card against red decks, no doubt. You definitely have to get that thing off the table. And after sideboard, when you have Stokes and you have Roast, you do have answers to that card.
Well, now is the worry, though, is Hawkins has untapped mana. So say if Avery Williams just convokes up Stoke the Flames and tries to kill Bramaz, we've already seen from game 1 that Eric has a couple cards that can put 1/1 counters on his creatures. If Avery goes for Stoke on Bramaz and Hawkins has Dromoka's Command or Obzon Charm, that is going to be the game.
Yeah. A couple copies of Stoke in hand for Avery. Also has a copy of Atarka's Command right now, but he's having some mana issues at this point. Hawkins does have a copy of Death Mist Raptor in hand.
Well, it just never, it seemed like the lifespan on his cards to deal damage just was very short. This Zergo got in for 2 and, okay, he pushed it in for 4 with the Lightning Strike, but that was it.
Yeah, no, the lifespan on these cards is pretty short. Again, this is why I'm just not a very big fan of Zergo against Obzon decks. It just gets outclassed so fast because their cards are so much better than yours that you have to work trades as best you can. As here's a face-down morph. It could be anything, but I'm fairly sure it's a Death Mist Raptor. There's an Eidolon trigger.
Well, so what would be the, why would, if it is Death Mist Raptor, why would he play it face down?
Not sure. Not sure. This is what's actually interesting about this game is that Avery might be able to still steal this game because he has 2 Stokes in hand. He can cast one, put Hawkins down to 6, cast another one, put him down to 2 next turn. So if he peels a land, he can play Stoke, and then Atarka's Command and be able to win this game. Now, not entirely sure the rest of the contents of his hand, but I'm positive, that there's double Stoke and Atarka's Command. If he has a card like Hordeling Outburst, he's actually doing pretty good right now.
So he has 11 points of burn.
Yes. It's if he could actually get to cast the 11 points of burn. And keep in mind, the Stokes don't actually deal him damage.
The Atarka's Command puts Avery at a virtual 9. And it may, I hope it doesn't come back to him, the fact that he hasn't been blocking these tokens. He has taken some free damage from Hawkins right now. If he had just been putting Zergos in front of the cat tokens, Bramaz would just be by himself right now. And with a pass there, I believe Avery is on the line you're talking about. Burn spell's just going upstairs now.
I think you have to try to burn him out because at this point, Eric can't cast another spell.
Right. Avery has 4 damage this turn off a Stoke. If he draws a land, he can go Stoke Atarka's Command to finish it off.
Yep.
But he needs to stay at 3 or higher to make this play possible.
Correct.
Takes 7. He would go to 4 here. 4 is enough.
But at this point, you can't shift game plans. There's no killing of creatures anymore. That's
Right.
off the table.
Yeah, and you have to hope that Hawkins doesn't have
A bunch of different things,
well,
to say the least.
Well, actually, it's not even a bunch because if Hawkins, most of the spells Hawkins could cast here, make him take 2, and then your 2 Stokes just win.
Sure, I mean, at this point, you're not beating a Dromoka's
Yeah.
Command. Like, you're incapable of beating that card.
Well, that's not even true if it right now because he could cast a Stoke, draw a land, and cast another Stoke.
No, if Avery casts Stoke the Flames, Eric should just Dromoka's Command it and take 2 instead of 4.
Oh, right. Oh, the mode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dromoka's Command had right. It
Yeah,
has
just
the mode
eat
where
a
it just
burn spell.
doesn't take damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't beat that.
So you can't beat Dromoka's Command at this point. Who is it? Ooh,
Oh, wow.
that's bad news.
That
boys.
is Hidden Dragon Slayer. Now,
Yes.
there's nothing for it to kill, but it sure is a 3/2 lifelink. And that changes the equation
to say the least.
by 3. That's huge. I don't know if Avery has line
That's
now.
really good.
The line of 2 Stokes and an Atarka's Command is no longer lethal.
Yeah, and I was trying to see if he just plays a Atarka's Command for the Skullcrack mode, if he can win. He has to take 2 to cast it. It'll put Hawkins down to 7, and then he doesn't have the ability to cast double Stoke the next turn.
Wow, and we said that this card could matter.
Yep.
And boy, did it.
2 main deck copies. Lifelink is very powerful against the red deck for obvious reasons.
And this one, I mean, even from our side, we have the deck list, and that wasn't on our radar right
Yep.
away. You're thinking, Death Mist Raptor, Den Protector. It's Raptor, why is it face down? Oh. Now this makes sense.
And I don't know if he's going to be able to empty his hand fast enough now. And if Hawkins gains 4 life, this is just an absolute disaster. But if Avery has to go after creatures, it's an absolute disaster.
Right. I mean, you feel like he has to stoke the Dragon Slayer
Yeah,
here,
at this point, yeah.
which means he's not stoking Eric.
The problem I have with the way that Avery has played this game is I think he's allowing what happened to him game 1 with the Bramaz tokens influence the way that he's playing this particular game with like the Jamoka's command +1/+1 eat your guy, Obzon charm +1/+1 eat your guy. Like that's not how the games typically play out. You know, like that was a unique scenario that happened. So he's just been letting these cat tokens actually do things that they consistently won't do.
Right, they're just accruing on the board. Bramaz should be by himself.
It should just be a 3/4, out there.
He shouldn't have this pride of cats following him.
Yeah. Now there's a land.
All right, so he can stoke Antarctica's command in the same turn now.
Yeah,
but you feel like
damage is adding up now.
Yeah, but you feel like, I mean, this Eidolon is no longer good for Avery. He's at a lower life total. You feel like he has to stoke the Bramaz here. If he stokes Bramaz, I mean, he just doesn't have many spells left to work with. His own Eidolon is a problem.
Yeah, I mean, well, depending on Hawkins is at 10, Williams at 6. There are obviously no good attacks here. So all that Avery can do is just pass the turn back.
Well, if you have to stoke Bramaz, he may do it now.
Yeah, I mean, at this point he could just tap 4 mana and do it now. Maybe throw in a Convoke there potentially. At this point, I think what he actually needs to do is get his own Eidolon off of the table.
What I think he's looking at doing is playing Goblin Rabblemaster, making a token off it, and then convoking a kill spell at the Bramaz.
Might be okay.
He goes to 4, but if you only have 1 or 2, I mean, you have 2 spells left if you're Avery, right? You can cast Jamoka's command and then one other thing. And Rabblemaster is a good second card there.
That's not a bad second card.
It gets Hawkins' Bramaz off the table. It gets you a Rabblemaster, which will eventually win the game for you if it's not kept in check.
He's going to play Rabblemaster here. He's going to go down to 4.
Yeah, I like this line from him. It's dangerous, but I think it may just work. Now, I am surprised he's letting it attack.
Yeah, as am I.
He could. That seems like he should just be convoking with it.
I'll pass the turn back. So the plan here is to convoke and take 1.
Yeah, convoke. Leave back Eidolon. Convoke. Take 1. Go to 3. Kill Bramaz. Hope. But I mean, then you'd have a Rabblemaster with 2 tokens next turn, and an Antarctica's command you can still cast. You'd be at 1, but you may be fine.
Yeah, I mean the plan here is Hawkins attacks with everything. He attacks with the Bramaz, gets another cat token. You put your 3 creatures in front of the 3 cat tokens, stoke the Bramaz, cross your fingers.
I guess, and I'll go back, if Avery makes that play and goes to 3, then Hawkins can swing 2 cat tokens, and Avery can only block 1 of them, and Avery goes to 2 and is now spelled out of the game.
He's spell locked.
So there is some downside to that. Maybe that Avery deems that downside too large. Okay, so he wants the Eidolon off the board. If his hand is good enough, that makes sense. The Eidolon is hurting him more than it's hurting Hawkins right now.
That's for sure.
I mean, he's got to stop playing around cards like Obzon Charm and Jamoka's command.
He can't play around anything.
Yeah.
There's no playing around anything at this point. You need to hope that Eric Hawkins' hand is like all lands or bad spells or something. He can't beat anything. Like any spell that you mention, Jamoka's command, Obzon Charm.
Yeah, well, Avery's been playing around them all game, and that's what I'm saying. That needs to stop.
Yeah, he can't beat any of that stuff. Now, how he opts to block will be interesting because I can understand wanting to try to get Eidolon off of the table at this point and putting it in front of Bramaz. But at the same time, I can also see just saying, okay, block all 3 of your cats with my 3 creatures, stoke the Bramaz, hope you have nothing. But he can't beat anything at this point either anyway, so I think he just has to continue to hope he has nothing.
See if Hawkins has anything for damage. I don't think so. I think he just passes. Here's the convoke. Stoke goes upstairs. Hawkins down to 6.
So now 6.
So, despite many opportunities, Williams has not ever gone after the Brahmas. You're not a big fan of that.
No, I think it's because it's still just going to be a problem now, right? Like
Well, that's vigilance, yeah.
That's not going to change.
Unless Williams has 2 6-points of burn in hand right now. If he has Lightning Strike with the Atarka's command, then this is great. He got the Eidolon off the board. You know, he'll win. He'll end up to win right now.
He could certainly peel one of those, too. Take a draw step.
Does he have 6 points? We know he has Atarka's command.
Yeah, we know he has command. Didn't get a great look at it.
I don't think he just has all 6 right here.
We know he has a Zergo in his hand. He's had a Zergo in his hand forever.
Yeah, so he was hoping to peel a Lightning Strike or another command there. I think he got a fetch land instead. Has to ask, can he survive? Can he play in such a way that he gets one more look at a 3-mana burn spell?
Gonna be tough, especially with Mana Confluence being one of the lands. Gonna be tough.
Well, the big issue is Brahmas is going to attack and Anafenza is going to attack. And Avery will only have 1 blocker because Zergo is too cowardly to block either of them.
Yes.
The Goblin token is going to swing. Rabblemaster is the only available blocker, and both those creatures are lethal. And I suppose if he Atarka's commands to pump his team and deal 3 damage to Hawkins, Zergo goes up to a 3-power creature. No. It's a creature. It's creatures with power 2 or less.
It doesn't change anything.
It's not. Zergo's not creatures with power less than him, greater than him.
Zergo gets to block a 1-power creature. That's
okay.
it.
So there's no way to turn Zergo into a blocker here. I don't see how he stops the Anafenza and the Brahmas.
Yeah, I think that's the problem here.
I got too into the flavor saying maybe Zergo's flavor. He won't fight bigger things. No. He just won't fight things big.
He just fights small things.
He likes to fight. He picks on the small things.
Rabblemaster's going to make a token. Looks like Zergo and the Goblin token are going to come into the red zone, as will Goblin Rabblemaster. This is kind of a last hurrah.
Yeah, he's swing the team and hope that Eric plays this wrong.
Yeah.
But I have to imagine that Atarka's command's on Eric's mind.
It's the card that should be at the forefront of your mind at this point.
When you play against Atarka Red, you should always be thinking about Atarka's command. It is one of the ways they steal games frequently.
Just an obscenely powerful card.
There's a block. The block here. If Avery pumps his team with Atarka's command, the Brahmas will still live and will attack back for lethal. So this shouldn't be good enough. Here's the command. Imagine it's 3 to Hawkins and pump the team. That will force the Rabblemaster and Anafenza trade. The Goblin token will win. Zergo will die. Now, I don't know if Hawkins made a Goblin token when he blocked with Brahmas, or a Soul Cat when he blocked with Brahmas. I don't believe he did, but I don't believe
the damage just goes to the token.
Oh, yeah, it just goes to the token, yeah. But I don't believe it matters.
Well, it certainly doesn't matter now because of Jamoka's command. Not that Brahmas can be blocked by Zergo, but it certainly didn't matter at this point. There's an attack, and that's going to do it. Eric Hawkins is going to win this match here over Avery Williams, 2-0. Abzan Company will take care of Atarka Red. Pretty clean fashion, even though Hawkins' draw, especially game 1, was very painful. Williams' draw did not come together all that well, and Hawkins is going to move on to 9-2 now with his brew.
Yeah, 2-0 today. And actually, if you look at the end there, it did seem like Hawkins was sitting on a Dromoka's command. So even if we go back to those lines where Avery maybe had lethal burn, I don't know if any of them work because Hawkins does have the Dromoka's command to not take damage off burn spells.
A pretty nice safety net to have Dromoka's command and never having to cast it. Hidden Dragon Slayer, pretty tough too. The Unmegamorph there changed pretty much the entire dynamic of the game and what Hawkins was trying, or excuse me, what Williams was trying to set up.
That was the big play, is that when his morph was Hidden Dragon Slayer, all of a sudden Avery had to really shift gears and wasn't able to do it.
Yeah, a lifelinker is really tough for a red deck to beat.